I just finished watching Fire Force, the series finale of Fire Force, and I have mixed feelings about it. I could go on and on about the show as a whole, the final season in particular, but I'm just going to stick to the ending. Let's start with Haomeya. Throughout the series, she's presented as this cruel, evil, manipulative antagonist. She mistreats Charon, she's mistreating Sho, she gets pleasure out of tormenting others. At the end, the creators do a complete 180 with her character. At no point during the show did I think she would be the final boss, the villain that the heroes would have the climactic battle with. I also looked at her as some white-clad lackey who's going to get killed at some point. Before the Great Cataclysm, the reason Haomeya has been so horrible was because of her subconscious was filled with humanity's despair. The unconscious, as they called it in the show. The reason she's been acting evil is her way of dealing with the pain that's going on in her head by beating the hell out of Charon and, again, being cruel to others. Her reasoning to bring back the Great Cataclysm is to bring death. It will end the despair that's in the world. All she knows is humanity's ugly side. Fear, hatred, violence, bringing death to the world. And that will help people who live through despair. I like the concept, but again, it was such a quick shift in her character. They built her up as this unhinged character who just wants to destroy the planet. There was no effort put into the transition of her character. I'm fine with them doing the 180, but it just seems like they just flipped the switch and, okay, she's this girl who's been tormented her whole life by humanity's despair, and so now we have to try and feel bad for her all of a sudden. It just felt rushed. The plot. It becomes challenging to follow towards the end. When the first Great Cataclysm happened, the world was on fire. Everything burned down, or almost burned down. So with the second cataclysm, the flames are ignited by humanity's negativity, despair. And so the reason for human combustion are the characters' doppelgangers. They're showing up. We're introduced to Shinra's doppelganger after he goes back in time and sees our timeline. He goes so far back that he sees our timeline and he's like, what the hell are these people? What the hell are these creatures? But the reason why he did that was he was talking to Inca and she was telling him that maybe if you go back in time, you could basically get an idea how the cataclysm works and what it really is. So I'm thinking he's going to go back in time with Inca because she jumped on his back, but she ends up disappearing. And so he starts seeing real life people and he's confused. He doesn't know what they are. So once he comes to, 3 months have gone by, he's strapped to a bed. Company 8 did that because he was an absolute menace and even struck Iris. And Shiren has no idea what happened over the past 3 months. And after that whole thing happened, I came away from saying, what was the point of that? I would have liked to see Shinra's doppelganger be a menace and everyone become confused on what's going on with Shinra. This isn't who he is. Why is he acting like this? He's always portraying himself as the good guy, the hero. He wants to do the right thing. I thought that would have been cool to see. And Arthur, who is his protector, he's one of the pillars. He's the only one that noticed it, that was the real Shinra. And these doppelgangers are created by the perception that people have of a certain character. And I think the reason why they had Shinra go back in time was to show off the animation. Was that the real reason as to why you had him go all the way back in time and see our reality and these other timelines? But anyway, once the doppelgangers start showing up, 2 of them are handled pretty easily. Like Benimaru easily disposes of his doppelganger. And I would say he's like the OP character of the show. And yeah, the other guy who likes to torment kids, who likes to bully the weak, he handled his doppelganger pretty well. So these doppelgangers weren't really menaces. Weren't really these strong, powerful beings. Joker's doppelganger was disposed of easily by Captain Burns. So, whatever, right? And once the Great Cataclysm begins, and as I mentioned, the flames are fueled by humanity's negativity, reality is also affected by people's imagination. So after Benimaru defeats the former leader of his Asakusa clan, this cartoon moon shows up and the water looks different. Certain things in the background have this cartoonish like look to them. Arthur ends up fighting the dragon and the dragon takes him to space, and it was just all over the place to me. It was just all over the place. The pacing just went from left to right, up, down. We went from fire, people being burnt alive spontaneously, to imagination, reality being warped. And the White Clad wants people's imagination to fuel the cataclysm, because at the end of everyone's imagination, it's death. So once everyone starts imagining death, then the great cataclysm can take over, and it can, and their plan will be successful. And turns out certain characters like Shinra, Arthur, they play a role in having hope overcome humanity's despair. So Shinra can't live his life as a hero. He can't believe that he's a hero, because that'll bring hope to this world. You know, Tamaki's lucky lecture, that brings some kind of freedom. You know, that's really an excuse to her fan service. That's really what her character was at the end of the day. That's how I looked at it. The reason why her clothes just keep popping off is because it plays a part in hope beating the despair. Yeah, again, it was just all over the place. It was just all over the place to me. And the deaths of the show, as I get older, the more I realize that it's kind of dumb to have multiple characters go on missions, and towards the end you have this climactic battle and then everyone survives. So Arthur, Iris, Captain Obi, if you had let them die, that would have been fine, because it brings a bit of realism when you do that. But I knew that they weren't going to die, because Iris and Obi, Arthur, they're the happy, positive, funny, dumb, lovable characters of the show. You know, Captain Obi, he's the guy who's always believing in doing the right thing and helping out people, and Iris is the soft, gentle sweetheart, and you know, Arthur, he's the naive, dumb Night King whose powers are fueled by his imagination. But it didn't make any sense, especially with Arthur. He has his lower half eviscerated, and he's still able to take down Dragon, cut him in half. So he cuts him in half, but not the world, because his blade goes through the world. So he doesn't cut the world in half, but he cuts Dragon in half. And I guess his imagination is so strong that he's able to imagine his lower half coming back, Shinra bringing everyone back to life and redoing reality, creating this new world. He makes death a little less scary, and bringing everyone back to life, having telling Haumea that she can live her life, be happy, and you know, all the characters have this happy ending. Okay, what really bothered me was Mari Kusakabe. Everyone has a happy ending, it seemed like, except for her. Even Rekka had a happy ending. He's probably the worst villain throughout the entire show. He was burning innocent people alive, turning them to infernals, even children. He was crazy, a psychotic. But you bring back Shinra's and Sho's mother, and she's still in this demon form. She doesn't get her original body back. Why not give her original body back? So that's the only thing that really bothered me about Shinra bringing back everyone to life, because it felt like Mari was the only one who didn't get the happy ending. And she wasn't really a hateable character. You know, it felt like she kind of got fucked over with the 2 virgin births. She was very young, so she couldn't really live her life as a young woman, enjoy her youth. She had to be a mother. Her own parents disowned her, and she doesn't get her body back. So it just felt like she got the short end of the stick the whole way. But all in all, I mean, the final season wasn't terrible. It just felt rushed. The pacing felt rushed. I think they should have went at least 5 seasons with this show. And when I jumped on the Fire Force bandwagon, I was late to the party. The first 2 seasons were already out, and I was wondering, when are they going to make the next season? And I think it was a 5-year wait. So if I was a big Fire Force fan and I had waited 5 years for the final season, I would have been pretty disappointed. I would have been a little disappointed as to how the final season ended. Pacing was too fast. It was confusing at times. Everyone had a happy ending except for Mari Kusakabe. And apparently this show is associated with Soul Eater. The way the show ended, even though I've never seen the anime Soul Eater, I'm aware of the anime and I've seen what the characters look like. I guess this happens before Soul Eater, so maybe this whole anime was something that took place years before Soul Eater happened. And now I'm kind of compelled to finally sit down and watch Soul Eater. So those are my thoughts on the ending of Fire Force and kind of the show as a whole. Please like and subscribe. That is it. I am out.